What do you think about
I
the
know,
new
but that's your
FOIA and the
daughter.
videos coming out?
Well, I hope they all come out soon.
You're
What do
hopeful
you
for them to come out?
Yeah, I want all of them to come out.
Gypsy's not worried?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I think that it's important for everyone to see everything.
Keep making content.
Hey friends, hope everyone's doing good today. I am back. I got pretty upset on Into the Weeds live last night, if any of y'all saw it, whenever we saw that last video, and realized that from Gypsy's own words that she was actually lying to Dee Dee. I knew Gypsy was the mastermind of the murder. Never fully thought that she was the mastermind of the con. I thought she was a participant. So that hit me pretty hard considering the trauma that I know that my community went through, my friends and family, after Dee Dee's murder, not understanding whenever the information of quote unquote the con came out, not understanding why they hadn't seen that and why they thought she was such a sweet person. Well, now we know, friends. Dee Dee didn't know until later in life. So anyway, I feel energized to do new videos and show more comparisons of the lies. And something I'm working on is a timeline of claims from Gypsy with specific dates that we can debunk with FOIA information. Since I just started it and it's not finished yet, I'm not going to show y'all just yet. What I'm going to do is go through and read off the points and talk about them. And I'll edit in some videos after I'm done before y'all see it. Okay, so most of the dates that I have and claims are from my time to stand. I started there first and started going through and just noting down different things I saw that I'm pretty sure we have conflicting evidence from the FOIA to debunk. So let's start going through them, friends. The first one is a big one. Early on in the book, Gypsy claims that she was 8 years old in 1999 and was on the back of her grandpa's motorcycle when he laid it over and she skinned her knee, and that this was the catalyst for Dee Dee remanding her to a wheelchair. Well, now we've seen the video where she tells Nick about this seizure and that she actually did experience temporary paralysis and then chose on her own not to tell her mother because she was afraid she wouldn't get as much attention, as much love. What a weirdo.
I'm sorry to keep it a secret from you for so long, but it's not just you that I'm keeping it a secret from. It's sort of like everybody who knows me. I don't even know how I got started. When I was 6 years old, I went into the hospital for like 6 months, and the doctors told me that I had a seizure and in surgery, and I wouldn't be able to walk, that I was paralyzed permanently. And that part, like the part that I had a seizure, was true. In surgery, I had the seizure and I was paralyzed. But what they didn't know is that it was temporary paralysis and not permanent. And by the time I started getting my feeling back in my legs, and I hadn't tried to walk then, but I was too young and I just kept to myself. And throughout the years, I tried to tell my mom a few times, and I guess I was just afraid of her not loving me as much as she does if I couldn't walk.
Okay, then the next one that I thought was interesting came just a few pages after the part about the motorcycle accident in the wheelchair. And it doesn't have a specific date, but it's still talking about the same time period. And I thought it was interesting that Gypsy references herself getting government checks from the state around this time, saying, with me playing the role of a sick child who required government checks and help from charities. Now, I don't have personal experience in this, but I've heard it is really hard to get on disability checks from the government without a lot of documentation. So I just found it interesting that she put it that way. And then now that we're all going through the medical records that keep coming out and this FOIA information, it sounds like both from the documentation and from Gypsy's own mouth, there was a time when she was actually paralyzed. What do y'all think, friends? And Gypsy makes a note at one point of the book about the DFS visit. She says October 26, 2009, DFS came to volunteer way. She says that there were no bruises to show them, as Dee Dee had never hit her yet, and that DFS didn't ask the right questions for her to be able to tell. Then she makes an interesting assertion, friends. She says that black trash bags were permanently over the windows after this. Well, we know that that's not true because we've seen a ton of videos from the recent FOIAs where she's in the living room and there's nothing over the windows. And then on top of that, at the time of the murder, there weren't black trash bags over the windows. There was stained glass film. Now, this next one kind of horrified me. I couldn't believe I'd never noticed this the first time I skimmed through her book, but I was really looking for specific things at that time. I didn't pay attention to every single page. But Gypsy describes Dee Dee being really depressed after the 2009 DFS visit and sleeping a lot. And she says she would try to roll her mom out of bed, telling her, "You can't sleep all the time. I'm hungry." Gypsy was over 18 at this time, friends. And we see from her videos just how much she knew how to do. So how did she not know how to get herself some food? Oh, and also in My Time to Stand later on, she talks about making toast and biscuits in the toaster oven. That's not a varied diet, but still, she had the ability to get herself snacks from her own words. I'm positive she had the ability to get herself more than that. But from her own words, she's inconsistent in her claims. If we just take her claims here, you know what I mean? She's still inconsistent. Gypsy says in 2009 that Dee Dee was receiving disability checks for bipolar disorder and also that she saw a therapist once a week but gradually stopped because she was depressed and didn't want to talk to anyone. Once again, this isn't an area that I have a lot of experience in, but I've heard it's not that easy to get on that sort of disability. What do y'all think, friends? I'm sure some of y'all have experience in this. Please let me know in the comments. Then Gypsy notes in the book, and this one I think is accurate. She says in 2009 that her and Dee Dee attended Vision Con for the first time, that they would go 3 years in a row. Then I found another thing that I found interesting, friends. Gypsy wrote in the book that in 2010, she started a secret MySpace account. So I don't know if we've seen anything released from the MySpace account. I'm not even sure if Greene County was able to get those records since, we haven't seen anything released. But that kind of answers a question I've had because I kept saying Gypsy is so comfortable filming herself. And I could imagine if she had a secret MySpace account in 2010, she probably had a lot of other secret accounts too and was filming herself quite a bit. I will find a screenshot to put up in editing, but I think it was GRB Evidence posted on Reddit a screenshot the other day of a Facebook post way back where someone was mentioning a certain type of fetish website and someone had attempted to tag Gypsy Rose in the comments. Just an interesting note there, friends, because we've heard rumors that she was doing videos for sites like that, but we've never seen it confirmed. But she's just really comfortable doing these videos on camera. So I suspected she was doing it before Nick, and we knew she did videos for Dan Glidewell. He mentioned in his testimony that she sent him videos enjoying herself sexually with her electric toothbrush. Also, I want to note in her prison emails to Melissa Moore, Gypsy mentioned that when she was real age 18, that she snuck out of the house and met a man who was 50 years old in Springfield, and that her mom found out about it and freaked out. Well, real age 18 would be around 2009 or 2010. So she probably met Richard Keene, I'm guessing, before Dan Glidewell. Okay, back to my timeline. I went off on a tangent there, friends. Then our next date, Gypsy says in March 2011 is when Dan Glidewell messaged her for the first time on Facebook after bumping into her wheelchair at Vision Con. I know there are some Facebook message records in the FOIA, but I don't know if they subpoenaed messages between her and other people or just messages between her and Nick. I guess we'll find out, friends. Okay, then Gypsy says that after this, in 2011 still, but after Dan had messaged her on Facebook and they had started talking, that after that, her and Dee Dee were at Kansas City in the Hope Lodge in a suite, and Gypsy claims that Dee Dee caught her talking to Dan, standing up talking to him in the bathroom, telling him that she could walk and knew her real age. And she said she was doing this, talking to him like this while Dee Dee was in the kitchen, and somehow thought she wouldn't get caught, I guess. Different parts of the book, she always says that Dee Dee's knocked out on Ambien while she was on the laptop. But here she says in 2011, she was standing talking on the phone to Dan in the bathroom. Now, she claims in her book that Dee Dee gave her a government government phone that she got, that Dee Dee got like 3 free government phones and gave one to Gypsy. And Gypsy says Dee Dee assumed that it was like giving a child a toy, that Gypsy wouldn't even know what to do with it and didn't have anyone to talk to anyway. I'm not so sure I believe that, friends. What do y'all think? But anyway, to continue on, Gypsy claims that whenever Dee Dee caught her talking to Dan there, that this is the first time that Dee Dee got physical with her, and that she beat her up, used a closed fist, and scratched her with her nails. We have no evidence of this other than Gypsy's word, and I'm very interested to see if once we have gone through all the pictures and videos, if we ever see a single one where Gypsy has any bruises on her, friends. Because she claims that after 2011, it became frequent. So you'd think at some point they would show, considering the way that she was filming and photographing herself. Okay, then the next date that we have is Gypsy says that on April 22nd, 2011, that Dan texted Dee Dee's phone to tell Gypsy he was in the hospital. And Gypsy says she stole Dee Dee's cash and Oxy and hitchhiked to the hospital. And she says she brought her baby bottle and a change of nipples with her, because we know by her own choice and admission, she found it comforting to drink from and enjoyed it and didn't want to stop. She claims that she left a letter for Dee Dee saying that she knew her real age, doesn't think she has cancer, and is going up to St. Louis, which is odd because she claims after that she intended to leave the state with Dan, but then found out that he was on parole or probation or whatever. And that's when they decided to go to St. Louis. But she kind of trips up her own timeline there, friends, because how would she have known they were going to go to St. Louis when she didn't yet know that Dan was on parole? And if going to St. Louis was like just a cover and they were planning on going out of state, well, then why in the damn hell would they decide to actually go to the place that is their cover? You know what I mean, friends? I think she always planned on going to St. Louis with him. The Arkansas thing was just a story. And yeah, I think the whole thing with Dan after here becomes made up by Gypsy. Something went down there that she doesn't want to tell us about, because in the video where she talked about it on Into the Weeds shared from the FOIA, she starts to say things and clips it, starts to say she chickened out at one point, and then changes up her tone to this righteous Christian woman. You'll see what I mean, friends. And also, what the hell was up with Dan? Like, if Gypsy was telling him this stuff about her mom at the time, that she knew her real age, she could walk, she wasn't sure what to do. She said whenever she was talking to him at the Hope Lodge, before she claims that Dee Dee caught her and beat her up in Kansas City, she says that Dan told her, well, if you're of age, she can't keep you there, we can go. So if she was telling Dan this stuff and he knew that, why in the hell would he text Dee Dee's phone, friends, to get a hold of Gypsy? That feels like such a risk. Maybe he was just high and not thinking, but who knows? It seems really odd to me. It seems like there's something's being hidden from us in this narrative, I think, friends. What do y'all think? Okay, on April 23rd, 2011 is when Gypsy claims that Dee Dee did the cow tongue spell and handcuffed her to a dog leash and then connected the leash to herself, put bells on all the doors, and reinforced the black garbage bags taped over the window, and made sure there was every window in the house. Gypsy claims that Dee Dee fed her bits of broth during this time that she had her chained up and kept a knife by her bed. She says for 2 weeks continuously that Dee Dee kept her chained to the bed or herself. And then she says after 14 days that Dee Dee took off the handcuffs with no explanation, but kept the knife by the bed. Well, we know that the black garbage bags is not true, and I question all of it. Because if this happened in 2011, we've seen videos already where Gypsy is trying to tell Nick that things aren't good with her mom and hint that she wants her mom gone. So if this was true, I just can't imagine she wouldn't have told him. But in all fairness, we're not through all the videos yet, and we don't know but what we might see something like this. So we'll see. And even if we do see something like that in the videos, it's Gypsy Rose, and we really have to read between the lines and piece together when she's being truthful by fact-checking it against other sources. So that's part of why I'm creating this timeline of her claims, so that I can then, once I'm completely done with it, instead of just doing a preview commentary like this, once I'm completely done with it, then I can actually edit it all very nice with all the contrasting evidence. Okay, then in the book, Gypsy claims in 2012 that she was planning another escape and had a bug-out backpack hidden behind their couch, and Dee Dee felt something was amiss and went on a search, ransacking everything, dumping out drawers. Gypsy says whenever she realized that Dee Dee was about to find the bag, that's when she grabbed Dee Dee's dagger and BB gun and shot her 10 times. She said it made slits in her skin, cut her, and she bled. Dee Dee covered for Gypsy and told everyone that someone attacked her with a BB gun in the Walmart parking lot trying to rob her. And that is documented fact, friends. Dee Dee covered for Gypsy that way. I feel like she was always trying to keep people safe from that child to a certain extent, safe from that person, safe from her spawn to a certain extent. Then the next date we have to note is October 12th, 2012 is the date that Gypsy, it says in the book that Gypsy met Nick on ChristianDatingForFree.com. And it's interesting to note that she says that she wore a prom dress in the picture that Dee Dee bought on clearance. And she notes at different times throughout the books that Dee Dee would buy a lot of prom dresses on clearance. And Gypsy speaks of this in the context of complaining about Dee Dee's hoarding, that the prom dresses weren't needed, obviously. Interestingly, though, now that we're looking through these videos that come from the FOIAs, she's wearing a different prom dress in almost every one. So it feels like Dee Dee knew Gypsy was wearing these and kept buying them for her, knew that she was enjoying them around the house. That's my impression, because we never see Gypsy looking at all freaked out about the possibility of her mom coming in and catching her and being dressed like that. And I just can't imagine any way that Dee Dee didn't know that she was at least dressing up inside the house. We see Gypsy sitting there in those prom dresses in the living room by the window with full light streaming in, and sometimes a bit of the window showing, and we can clearly see that the windows are not blacked out yet. So, friends, my new theory currently, until we see something that shoots it down, is that Gypsy Rose Blanchard put that stained glass cellophane over the windows before the night of the murder. I think she was afraid that it might not be contained in the living room. Dee Dee might try to fight back and get out. They need to make sure people couldn't see through the windows if any lights got flipped on. That's my new thought. Let me know what y'all think, friends. So then I don't have much noted yet for the rest of for 2013 or 2014. After that, we jump to 2015 for the next date that I have noted. And this one I actually don't have noted to debunk. I noted it because I was surprised that Gypsy put this in the book. I thought we only knew this from some of Nick's testimony, but Gypsy openly put in the book that on March 12th, 2015, when her and Nick met at the Springfield movie theater to see Cinderella and to have relations in the men's bathroom, Nick was unable to fully participate due to being unaroused after realizing Gypsy was wearing a diaper. I used to consider the diaper clear evidence that Dee Dee was forcing Gypsy to do weird things. But once again, now that we have the FOIA stuff, we saw a video where Gypsy was dressed up for Nick, and it pretty clearly looked like she was wearing an adult diaper in the video as part of her fetish getup. She called it white underwear, but it really looks like a diaper to me, friends. What do y'all think? And then there are several incidents on that date that I wanted to note because I was surprised that Gypsy actually put this in her book. Gypsy says again on that same date that as they were leaving the movie theater that Dee Dee said, "Are you trying to kill me? You know I'm not well, Gypsy. I swear if I die, it will be you who killed me. You already tried to shoot me once." Gypsy claims that she told Dee Dee, "I wasn't trying to kill you. I just wanted to be free," or something like that. I don't believe she said that or meant it if she did say it, because we know that she did have Dee Dee killed, friends. God. Okay, then Gypsy claims again on that same day that whenever they got home from the movie theater, that Dee Dee forced her into the shed behind the house, ordered her to get out of her chair, and then padlocked her inside and left her, and that it was unheated and cold. Gypsy says at this time, she describes the shed and how well-meaning Habitat people thought it would be a nice playhouse for her, but she claims she never ever used the shed as she was scared of the bugs in there due to it having a dirt floor. She goes into massive detail of all the kinds of bugs that were there and why she could never ever be in there. However, in this video of her showing Nick all of her stolen, hoarded baby clothes that Demona stolen from the mall, not Walmart, because these are nice things, she said. I'm pretty positive she's in the shed, friends. Look at that floor. And that's not a dirt floor. We have these crime scene pics of the shed. It didn't have a dirt floor. I don't know why she lies.
My sweet love, I just want to show you all the stuff I got for the baby. So I will start off with essentials, of course, probably diapers for newborns.
Then Gypsy says that Dee Dee didn't let her out of the shed until noon the next day, and that she dug around in some of the trash bags of hoarded clothes in there and found stuff to keep herself warm. While Gypsy's describing her fight with Dee Dee, she says that she was anxious to get home and powder some Oxy and put them in her feeding tube, as it would give instant relief. So she confessed there that she was giving herself medication through the feeding tube that she wasn't prescribed. That's one of the things that she's accused Dee Dee of doing, but that we don't have any proof of other than Gypsy's word. But she's turned around and let us know that that was the thing she enjoyed doing herself. Very interesting, huh, friends? Well, I'm going to go ahead and cut off here and edit. Like I said, this isn't finished, and I actually have quite a bit more that I already have noted, but I'm not going to go through right now. But yeah, whenever I get it all done and the big video prepared, I think it'll be a good one, friends. I hope everyone's enjoying. Have a good day. Let me know what y'all think in the comments.